My name is Yosh, and I'm a perfumer from San Francisco, and I have also part-time residency here in New York, but mostly in San Francisco. And I suppose I'm one of those perfumers that came through this accidentally, but in a way very much you know, destiny. My name Yosh, the Chinese character, means aroma. So, and of course this is the year of the dragon, and my middle name means is dragon, so one could say I'm like fragrant dragon. I'm just kidding. Well, so when I started my collection, what I wanted to do was create a whole fragrance wardrobe based on the moods, our personalities, our seasons, because, you know, we're not the same person through and through. We're complex, we have many facets. We have, let's say, a public persona. Not all people like to be alone, but I make dates with myself and turn off the phone, turn off the computer, and I like to zone out. And I do wear a different perfume for those moments. And then I have another fragrance for my alter ego, and I think everyone has an alter ego, whether it's out in the open or not, it's there, right? So depending on the mood and personality, you choose a fragrance for that moment. So I think we have this conception that we wear fragrance at the last, after we've already been dressed. But I think if we choose our fragrance after we've showered, we're naked, we wake up before we start our day, when we connect with who we are in the moment, how we're feeling, and then we choose our fragrance, then energetically we're in that place of who we are right now. Because, you know, sometimes most people, they're late, they go for work, they have to put the coffee on, and then they get dressed, and then they don't really look like they even looked at themselves in the mirror, and then they choose the fragrance and it's all wrong, and then they walk outside, they step and poop, they have a parking ticket, and then your day is, you know. But I think if you choose the fragrance first, then energetically you're in that place of, wow, I feel good about myself. Wow, I feel a little bit sad, or I feel a little bit sensitive, and maybe I'll choose a fragrance that uplifts me. So my collection is intended to be, again, with the seasons, so I have something for spring, summer, fall, winter, and then I've arranged it like a wine tasting, so we start from light to dark. So for example, Sottile, which is subtle in Italian, it's a beautiful modern vintage fragrance which is meant to be subtle, right? So just tea rose and lily of the valley. I have a white flowers is my complex white floral bouquet with a green finish. You know, there are a lot of white floral fragrances out there. It's a little bit like, for a fashion designer, a black dress, you have to make a floral fragrance, right? So, but I wanted mine to be with a green edge. I have a dry palate. I like dry wines, dry sense of humor, and so I like this concept of having a floral fragrance with a dry finish. It is a little bit more dressed up, so I like to call it my Dallas girl, with the matching handbag and, you know, matching jewelry, tailored jacket, nails done, you know, really put together. And I think that's, you know, I'm not that person all the time, but when I wear white flowers, I do feel somehow more feminine and more put together, even if I'm just wearing a pair of jeans and a t-shirt. And then I have another fragrance called Euphoria, which is, oh, thank you. It's like the name, it's happy, it's blissful, it's youthful. So Euphoria, it's also, my fragrances are also based on the chakras and the numerology, so there's an energetic resonance. So Euphoria, the fourth chakra, that tells me that you generally have a great disposition, you're happy, you're very easygoing, you're very sunny, and you're young at heart, and you will probably remain very youthful even into your 60s and 70s. Yeah. And then there's Ginger Chow, which is my bestseller. She's based sort of loosely on my alter ego, and I'm also a writer, and she's the main character of a novel that I'm working on, and she's much more daring and adventurous than I am. It works with the second chakra, which is your creative energy, your sexual information, your relationships to others. So I do find that for people who are single, they tend to wear Ginger Chow when they want to go out and be social. It's very flirty. With, you know, it has several aphrodisiacs. It has ylang ylang, jasmine. It's very seductive. Then I have Stargazer, which is very clear. You know, it's great for transition from day into night. And then I have Omniscent, which is the full spectrum of scents, and it works on the whole aura. And it's a classic Oriental fragrance with, you know, a fresh, clean bite. There's basil and also pink pepper, so it's a little bit more, you know, it's got a, you know, all my fragrances have a little edge. I think it's nice to have, you know, something else other than what's in the front. And so that's why I decided to create my new fragrance called Sombre Negra. So my other fragrances have you know, it's sort of your persona that you show the world, let's say, or your let's say your superficial personality, the exterior of your persona. But we all have a little bit of a dark side, right? So we have Sombre Negra, which means black shadow. And whether you want to show other people your dark side, you know, as much as you are happy, you also have a propensity for absorbing darkness. So whether that's sadness, loneliness, or what have you, it's the opposite of happiness, right? And even if you're on Prozac, you have good days and bad days. You know, it's, we're complex creatures. And so Sombre Negra, what I love about this fragrance, of course, it has notes of vetiver, patchouli, there's leather notes, but I also, you know, there's the bright citrus notes, kind of like a flash of lightning, just to shine the light a little bit on that darkness. And then shadows move, of course, and so we ourselves move depending on day to day, what we're feeling in the moment. You know, are we the same person at 20? No, we're not. I'm just turned 40 this last year. Well, okay, now we're in 2012. So last year I turned 40. So I'm now in my full year, and I'm definitely a different person. And I think for me, Sombre Negra, it's a little bit masculine. And I think for me, energetically, you know, even as a woman, we all have masculine traits as well. And I think for such a long time, you know, I wanted to just push it away because it was too strong. But when I really embraced, let's say, the dark side or that other part of ourselves, you actually become stronger, you know. And I think too, for me, I would love to be a little bit more edgy, you know, leather and like hardware and black makeup, smoky eyes. I don't think I could pull off that look all the time, but if I wear Sombre Negra, it's fantastic. And I think too, the inspiration was, I do quite a bit of traveling, and I live in San Francisco mostly, and it's very foggy there. And in the last year, I was in places that were also very foggy, near the coast with the forest. I was traveling to the north of Amsterdam at the Bergen Sea, and it's super. I was there in the off season. It was very dark in the middle of the winter. Off season, I mean, it was quite spooky. No one was there, and I was, you know, in the trees, you know, in the forest, on the dunes, and then suddenly you're, you know, for a moment the sun comes out, and then you see, oh my gosh, it's quite deep in the forest, and then it's cloudy again. And I love this feeling of darkness, light, darkness, and it's always changing and mutating. And there's something, even though it's a little bit eerie, there's something comforting about that feeling. And, you know, of course, the idea of being in that cozy library with cognac, you're smoking, I mean, I'm not smoking a cigar, but if I would be, you know, even, you know, that smell, it's so delicious, you know, when it's cold outside and you have the fire burning. There's something, I suppose, romantic about it as well, but also dark and, you know, looming in a way. And emotionally, when it's dark and winter, it's hard not to even have, you know, depression or reflection or kind of an intimacy with yourself. And I think energetically it's important to have that as a balance to the summer, sunshine, beach, happiness. You know, we want to have both. So that's the inspiration behind Sombre Negra. And of course these scented moyettes, I think it's fun because, you know, it's just a different way to experience fragrance. I mean, you know, and I love this idea of men and women, you know, the Victor Victoria, or just being playful with the mask. And the idea of a mask, again, plays on our shadow selves, right? Because, you know, maybe you're Jody and maybe I'm Yosh and maybe we're other people too.